So we both have Oregon in this game. Another Pac-12 game. There's actually 3 Pac-12 games that we're talking about, 3 ranked games in the Pac-12 conference this week. The second one we're talking about is number 22, UCLA at number 11, Utah, 3:30 p.m. on Fox. Storyline for me, Dalton, in this game is, will Cam Rising and Brant Kuithe be able to go? Because right now, those are Utah's 2 best offensive players, quarterback Cam Rising and tight end Brant Kuithe. Without them so far, both of them recovering from torn ACLs that they suffered a year ago. Without them, Utah's had the 11th worst passing game in terms of EPA per play. Also, Utah's offensive line has allowed the 6th highest pressure rate in the Power 5 as well. And that's an issue because UCLA's defensive line is loaded, especially at edge defender with the Murphy twins and specifically Laiatu Latu, who right now is the number 8 prospect in the 2024 draft, according to Trevor Sycamore. And UCLA right now, 3rd in the country in pass rushing grade at nearly an 85 pass rushing grade so far this season. So that's going to be a mismatch, I think, is Utah's pass protection against UCLA's defense. And without Cam Rising and Brant Kuithe, that could be a big, big issue. But what are you looking for the most? What's the matchup that you're watching in this game?
I'm looking for 2 things. Exactly what you said there. Actually, both teams really struggle in pass protection. You look at pass blocking grade, Utah and UCLA respectively are the 6th and 7th worst teams in the Power 5 pass protecting. So I'm looking for this game to be a fist fight. Latu is the highest graded defensive player in the country right now at any position. You know, it's a big problem. I think even if Rising is in there, first game off a torn ACL and you have to face that defensive line, that's rough, man. It's going to be a big problem. Look, Utah, they scored some late points against Baylor. They put up 24 on Florida, most of that early, and they had the game in hand and killed the clock the rest of the way. Offensively, it's not been clean. It's been really ugly. The 2 quarterbacks, they can move, but the passing has been a struggle. On that side, I think I'm looking exactly what you're looking for. Utah wants to run the ball and keep this game in a phone booth as long as they can. But Latu and the Murphy boys, I mean, that's a lethal defensive line to be playing, especially your first conference game. You mentioned Latu could be a top 10 pick. He's been spectacular. Utah is going to have a lot of issues with UCLA's D-line up front. And I think on the other side, Dante Moore is interesting to me. I'll tell you, we talked last week about Milton and we've talked about Jalen Milroe with the arm strength. Dante Moore's got an absolute hose, man. Yeah. He can sling it deep. He's right now 98.3 passing grade on deep balls, 3rd best in the country. What UCLA right now, look, it's the Chip Kelly special right now. Run it, play with tempo, keep running it. And the minute they step up, throw it over their heads. Dante Moore is really fitting in nicely with Chip Kelly's system, throwing play-action shots deep down the field, right? Some intermediate, shorter throws. He's got, the drop-back game he's got to work on, but they are a threat down the field. And Utah's allowed, it's not going to sound like much, and through 3 games, they've allowed 6 catches on go routes, which is actually the most in the country.
Wow.
They are not. Utah has gotten away with some mistakes in coverage. They've allowed 6 go balls, and there were 3 or 4 more that were bad throws that guys were open. They really need to keep. Utah needs to keep this game in the box because Moore can get it over their heads. I promise you. I'm telling. Dante Moore is a kid with an absolute cannon, and Chip Kelly knows it, and he's trying to get over the top. When he sees safety step up inside of about 10, 11 yards, he's going over the top on him. And I think it's going to be a big problem for Utah, especially we know Utah, even with Rising, is not explosive like that. It's a workman-like offense. UCLA's offense is a little more explosive, and I'm looking for Utah to make the adjustments in coverage because they've not looked good so far against the deep ball, regardless of what some traditional stats say. They've let several guys get behind them in the first 3 weeks.
Absolutely. I'm glad we're finally talking about Dante Moore because I actually just put out a tweet a couple days ago of some of his best throws so far this season. Keep in mind, this kid is a true freshman. This is a true freshman quarterback in Chip Kelly's system. 87.4 grade so far this season, which is 17th among all quarterbacks in the country. 9.4% big-time throw rate. That is only behind Caleb Williams among Pac-12 quarterbacks so far. Dante Moore was the number 3 overall recruit coming out of high school, number 2 quarterback only behind Arch Manning. He's proven why right now, man. This kid is special, and if you want to keep a name in mind for the 2026 NFL draft, Dante Moore is one to keep in mind, man, because he has been nothing but spectacular so far this season. The one thing I'll say, though, and you saw on that graphic, it said first true test. It is the first true test for Dante Moore this week because they played Coastal Carolina, San Diego State, and NC Central. NC Central is an FCS team. San Diego State and Coastal Carolina have the 99th and 114th best defenses in PFF's power rankings right now. That's a far cry from Utah. That's 11th in the Power 5 in both coverage grade and EPA per pass. So first true test for Dante Moore, but everything I've seen from Dante Moore so far in these first 3 games is special, man. This kid is really talented. He's going to be a really good quarterback, I think, for a few years now for UCLA. Ultimately, will the true freshman step up, Dalton? Will UCLA come out with the victory?
I actually think so. I think they can go out there and win out to Utah, and it's a really tough environment. This is another game that you're going to see. This game, for the most part, is going to be fought in a phone booth. I think the 2 big stats for me are the deep grade and that big time throw rate you just showed for Moore, and the fact that UCLA is ripping off 7.4 yards per carry. That leads the country. They're doing everything Chip Kelly wants to do on offense. They want to repeatedly run it with tempo. High octane in the run game, make an explosive run here and there, but that yards per carry mark is big. And then more opening this offense vertically is the best thing that could have happened for them because you start playing with safeties and you start playing with linebackers' eyes, and it causes so many issues when a kid can throw the ball deep like that. So I'm going to take UCLA 23-17. I think it's competitive. It's in Utah. It's going to be wicked competitive. There's going to be moments in this game where it's a slugfest, man. It's going to be a boxing match. You've got 2 really, really good defenses that are going to rule most of the day. But I think UCLA being a little more explosive in the run game and the pass game is going to be the difference. Now, if Rising plays, if he looks healthy, it's going to be even tighter than that. I believe that's getting announced tomorrow, they said, if he's going to play or not. But if the backups are in there, I have a hard time seeing really how any of those quarterbacks aren't going to be running for their lives. Utah's quarterbacks right now have the longest time to throw in the Power 5 or in the country. In the Power 5, they have the longest time to throw. They're holding the football as well as not protecting now. So it's a problem. It's a real problem Utah's going to have if in obvious passing situations with UCLA's D-line, and I think UCLA's a little more explosive. I'm going to take the Bruins.
Yeah, I got the Bruins as well, 28-24. I think that's a big mismatch, honestly, is UCLA's D-line getting pressure on those young quarterbacks that Utah's got right now. Now, if Cam Rising does play, and like I said, if he's healthy, which is another question, whether or not he's playing, and Brant Keithy as well, then maybe I'll take Utah in this game. But I got UCLA if not, man. I got UCLA 28-24, and just because we don't know. We don't know if Brant Keithy and Cam Rising are going to be able to go. And also, by the way, Utah is the favorite in this game. So once again, like the Ole Miss game, Dalton and I both picking the underdog. Put some money on the UCLA money line again if you're a betting man in this game.